Hi, in this video we're going to look at No More Blues, and we're going to work on arpeggios for it. We'll play an arpeggio kind of exercise. So I'll take an improvised solo, just kind of strictly going with chord tones, 4 chord tones for each chord. And if you haven't already checked out the updated lesson on the melody and the basic chords for this tune, No More Blues. I had an older one, and I've kind of updated that. I think it's a bit better, and it's all in one video. All right, so and if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I've got a lot of other things coming out, and sometimes I stream online or I do live video, so so you'll get updates on all of that. All right, so I'll start by playing an improvised solo just with chord tones and going through the whole tune, and a transcription of that will be available in a link below, so you can check it out. And then I will go kind of step by step through each chord change and sort of provide some ideas for playing arpeggios over the chord changes. All right, so let's get started here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there I pretty much stayed strictly to the 4 chord tones of any given chord. A little bit towards the end, I added some tones that were just a little bit outside of the chord tones, or maybe just some of the extensions that were kind of on there. And I'm using at the moment the new Real Book version of the chord changes, so you might refer to that. All right, so let me go through each chord and give you some ideas. So the one thing to really try to get a hold of is to play the 4 chord tones in different orders. So for one thing, let's say you have D minor. So we'll start with that D minor. If you play, that's root position. So if you play from the 3rd, okay, then that's the 1st inversion. And then if you play from the 5th, okay, and play from the 7th. So then you decide, what's the quality of the chord? Is it minor 7 chord? Then you have flat 3, a flat 7, natural 5. And so you just play in those orders. And then you could get creative and try to kind of mix it up. But that's kind of a good way to think, is to try it in four notes at a time. So and you could go to the next chord. So that's E7 over B, or E7 flat 9 over B. So I ended on that G sharp there. Okay, so that's just one kind of thing to think about. So let's go to the next chord. So what's notated here is E7 over B. That's going to have a flat 9 because that's our kind of the minor characteristic of the key that we're in. So we'll play that kind of a B diminished 7th chord. So with diminished chords, you can play all minor thirds, so any combination. Just keep going like that. That's the arpeggio. And then, but if you could also play it off of E7 and play an arpeggio on that. All right, so the only difference between that is the E7 arpeggio and the B diminished arpeggio is E versus the F. Okay. Okay, so then you can play through that, and then once you're comfortable, and maybe you already are comfortable with it, but once you're comfortable with those combinations, then you could start just kind of jumping around, I'm kind of being a little bit extreme there, but playing some larger intervals and just kind of moving around. All right, let's go to our next chord. So I generally like to think of this as B flat minor 6, because I just feel like that's a little bit more of a characteristic sound of this style, but they have that notated in parentheses, and A7 sharp 5 with a flat 9 written as the chord. Either way, the main difference is the root with that. So anyhow, so I was thinking mainly as a minor 6 kind of arpeggio. So play something like this. Okay, and those are kind of your four shapes for that arpeggio. Of course, you have to work that out all over the neck. All right, and then so that's B flat minor 6. So that may be an arpeggio you might not be that familiar with. So to get that, you just, if you're familiar with the B flat minor 7, all you have to do is lower that 7th. Right. Okay, lower the flat 7. All right, to get that minor 6. All right, then we're back on D minor. Kind of covered that. So we play an arpeggio there of some sort. All right, then we get to E minor 7 flat 5. Okay, so we're only going to get a small amount of time to play on that, so you might want to only pick about 4 notes for that. I believe that's what I did, something like that. And then, but you do want to be able to pick from any 4, any order of any 4. Okay, and then into the A7. So you just play a typical A7 chord there, arpeggio. And again, just 4 notes. And if you were trying to put some more extensions on there, a flat 9 would be appropriate. So then again there, you could play a B flat diminished over that. Over that A7. All right, so then back on D minor. Okay, and then if you're ready to kind of branch out, you know, you could try other arpeggios. You could try an F major 7 arpeggio, which would work well on D minor, and that way you get the 9 there. Okay, so let's look at the next chord. So we've B minor 7 flat 5, and again we just could probably fit in about 4 notes. So you want to fit in that, and then we're going to get to this G sharp for the E7. Okay, so we just want to play probably 4 notes for that as well. So then we get into the E minor, so that was 2-5 in A minor, so it's going to the minor 5. And so playing an arpeggio on that. Okay, and then now we're going to B flat major 7, and that's another thing. So you don't. So I would maybe take these 4 notes. Maybe I'll play this note, then this note, then this note, then this note. So you can mix them up in all different orders. So maybe you're thinking about these notes in general, and then you just mix them up, or play them in different orders. All right, and then we're going into the B flat 6. I would generally kind of just think of this as B major, but I did make a point to play a 6 on this B flat in the example solo. All right, so yeah, so a B flat 6 is essentially a G minor 7 arpeggio, but you probably just want to think about it in terms of B flat. But yeah, so you have the G in there rather than the A. So the major 7, rather than the major 7, go to the 6. I like to think really directly to the chord, so I probably wouldn't even really think G minor 7. I would just think, okay, it's a B flat triad with the 6. All right, and then we have A7. So A major with a flat 7, and with option of maybe putting the flat 9 on there, which would give us again that B flat diminished 7. Okay, and then here we're I'll go over this next part kind of a little quickly because it's a lot the same. So if the D minor 7, when it goes D minor over C, that's a good opportunity to kind of change maybe your starting note. So maybe you start on the F, it's going down a whole step, the root is going down a whole step, maybe change your starting note to D, or maybe A. All right, so then we have that E7 over B, basically B diminished. We talked about that. And again, you could play the E7 arpeggio and just kind of add the flat 9 to it, so then you're kind of playing both the B diminished and the E7. All right, and then we're getting that B minor 6. We talked about that. Yeah, so again, another way to think about the B flat minor 6 is to think about the G half diminished arpeggio. Okay, 4 notes there, not a triad. Okay, so then we've got back to D minor. Now this is going to be important, so we'll have the D minor arpeggio, a few notes for that, and then we want a D7. So basically just take that same arpeggio and just make the third major. And then if we want, we can tag on the flat 9, or we could omit the root and play essentially an A diminished. Okay, arpeggio. Okay, then we get to the G minor. Okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory. We'll play, oops, I added an 11 in there. So we're going to play the G minor 7, and then we're going to go to A7, play the A7. Okay, and then we're going to play D minor. So then we can play all the D minor things we talked about. B diminished, or E7 flat 9. Okay, and then the B minor 6. Back to the D minor 7. Okay, and now we go into the E minor 7. So in this case we have a B natural. Okay, so that's outside of our key signature, and we're heading towards D major. So we have so we have E minor, that makes sense, natural 5, going to the A7. So again, we can just arpeggiate A7. And then get on, and of course we have just 2 beats, so you wouldn't do that much on it, just a couple, maybe 4 notes there, and then we have D major 7. Okay, so again, trying to get all the combinations of that. Okay, then we have the B7, and with a sharp 5. So I really made a point of playing this arpeggio, which we haven't covered yet in this video, which is to play a dominant 7 with a raised 5th. Okay. All right, so that's important to try to really work at getting that kind of under the fingers. Okay, and then that sharp 5 resolves really nicely to the 9 of the E minor, so that's a little bit tempting. We'll talk about that in a minute. So we have E minor 7. So we want to be able to play all the arpeggios or all the combinations with that. And then, so you could also play a G major arpeggio, G major 7, then you're going to get that major 9 on the E minor. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, and then we're going to play A7 sus. So we take the 3rd and just raise it to the 4. Right. Okay, and then we play this. So that might be a little bit out of the ordinary for you, or maybe not. But essentially, just take that. So it just has you, instead of the third, you raise the third, so it's suspended. All right, and then we drop that 4 to the third. Okay, and then we have D diminished 7. So basically all just minor thirds. We have a root, flat 3, flat 5, double flat 7, and the root. So you want to be able to play the combinations of that. And then we get into D major 7. Okay, and so that's kind of a nice resolution. So that, something kind of different where it's sort of it's a resolution where it sounds like it needs to pull upward, right, rather than a 5 that kind of tends to resolve downward. So outlining that with arpeggios is going to be very nice. We're going to go to the third. So we have F sharp minor 7. We have F diminished. E minor 7. So this gets interesting because we have E minor 7 for 2 measures. Then we have E7. So we just raise the third to a major third. We can include the 9 if we want. Okay, that gives us a G sharp half diminished arpeggio, if you want to think of it that way. And then what's notated here is E minor 6. I generally tend to think of this as a E half diminished chord. So those are actually the same 4 notes, except the root note would be different. So I'm going to kind of spell this out relative to E minor. So we have a half diminished triad. Okay, so and then we have A7. So that, that's kind of another point that the 7 is going to resolve nicely to the third of the A7. Okay, and then we get back to, this is the last section, D major. Okay, and again, D major, and you could try playing at F sharp minor 7. Okay, or just think of it as a D major with added 9. And then we have B minor 7. And then E7. Then we're going to go into F sharp. Okay. All right, and then in the or sort of sample solo, I just kind of outlined these chords. So I don't think I did exactly that, but something similar. So one thing that you could do is kind of take the same shape on these 3 chords. But it's kind of nice to do something a little bit different as you're outlining it. Maybe play just to kind of add some variety to it. And then we get D7. That's going to resolve to the G major. So we have the 4 chord, major 7, 4 chord minor 7, shifting down a half step to the F sharp minor 7, B. And so when I play this arpeggio, I believe I play this 13, and then the sharp 5, just because that's kind of in the melody. So I wanted to include that, or it felt like I should add that. So B13, and then there's that augmented triad again with the flat 7, and then we're getting into E9, the A sus. Okay, there I may have kind of gone from the sus, and it kind of resolved into the major third. And then with F sharp minor, get that B7, the sharp 5 again, and we're back to the E7 or E9, and then the A9 sus 4, or just A7 sus 4. And then to the D6. That's a 6/9 chord there. So D6. Okay, you can play something along those lines, like a B minor 7 arpeggio. All right, so that's kind of rundown of the arpeggios, at least in some areas. I hope that was not too hard to follow. Okay, so now see if you can try out playing or improvising with arpeggios over the changes. I'll play the chords behind you, and you could improvise this, or you could use the sample solo in the link below. So I'll give one count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so hopefully all that worked out pretty well for you. I've kept the tempo pretty slow, so it's easier to kind of play with and work with. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions on it. If you need additional help with improvising on the tune or any techniques or anything, chord voicings, be sure to get in touch with me. You can reach me at guitar-resource.com, and you can find my link to my email and phone there. Be sure to leave a message if you call, and we can work some things out. Also, be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, if you gained something from it. I would appreciate your comments. That might encourage other people to practice with the video, and just try to, in general, get better at playing. All right, well, thanks again for watching. I hope you have a great practice session.